How do we start this thing again? Just kidding, I know.
You know what? If you cut us off, I'm yelling for Bailey real quick.
Press start. I'm going to press start webinar right now. Let's get started, it says.
Let's get started.
Here we are. We're started.
Hey, we are started.
We are a little bit early, but it's, you know, like we always say, I never did find out what that saying was.
We'll save that for next time.
Right. Early is on time. If anybody knows it, please write it in the chat. Oh, let's make sure that chat's all set up correctly and everybody can see their stuff. Yep. So everybody should see the links to emails and websites and the Facebook group.
Cool. You're on it.
I'm on it, man. I got that. That's about it. Okay, so it is now officially 1 o'clock.
Officially 1 o'clock.
So we can say welcome to the No BS with BS interactive webinar.
Welcome.
And what are we doing here? Trying to get everybody to be, help me out, Steve.
Be
the best.
Oh, we didn't go over that in the pre-script thing. We talked about other things. The best version of ourselves.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Right.
I know. We should have rehearsed it. I kind of threw you out there.
That's all right. You told me all about your trip and everything, which was wonderful. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, I just got back from Namibia, which is in Africa. It is just north of South Africa on the western coast. So very cool country. Very safe, very friendly. You know, I think a lot of people worry when they go over, which for good reason. There's a lot of unrest in African countries, so you have to be careful. But Namibia is very safe. It's, you know, we drove around it all by ourselves, and I only put the windshield wiper on 100 times because they drive on the left-hand side of the road, and so then you're on the right-hand side of the car, and the blinkers on your right and the windshield wipers on your left, and so I'm using my left hand to like flick it up to go right, flick it, you know, and every single time, and I'm like, you know, super frustrating.
But we learned something. We learned something in everything that we do every single day.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, so you and I do, because, you know, there's a lot that we need to learn.
Well, yeah, I mean, and like we've talked before, we have to put purpose to our trials, because if we're going to have trials of many kinds, both good and bad. But my gosh, if we don't learn from it, like, you know, turning the blinker on, which turns the windshield wipers on 100 times, I think it took 100 times, 101 times, you got it. See?
Exactly. And then repetition. I had to. Then you should have seen me when I got back to the States. I got my car and I went to go turn, and I put both of my hands. So I'm like right and left, right, you know.
But okay, but if you would take that simple principle right there, see, and we look at what we're used to doing, and that can be in anything in our life, all right, good or bad. And you're sitting here, I grew up here in the United States, and when we turn this on, that turns our blinker. But then you go to this other country, and now you're turning this thing, and it's turning your wipers on. Well, that's been in, you know, written into your brain, those pathways and everything. So now when you come back, you have this new neural pathway that says, no, that's the windshield wipers. But now you come back to America, and you have to switch back over to, no, that's the blinkers. Yeah. You know, how many times in life do we do that? You know, we'll pick up those old things.
Correct. I was, you know, and we were talking before we pressed that start button for the webinar about wanting to talk about mediocrity. And, you know, we can lead into that right now, is that mediocrity, I'm not talking about mediocrity in your life when you compare yourself to others. Mediocrity when you look at yourself and say, how do I stack up against my potential, what I really could be? So am I living in mediocrity right now? Am I not really doing all that I can to be the best version of myself? Am I letting myself down, right? And why do we settle for mediocrity? I think there's honestly a couple of reasons that we do it. One, I think there's kind of a societal thing going on there where it's okay, everyone, it's okay to, to do it, what do I want to say, to kind of be lazy, or um, or some people even look down on those people that really strive to be great, right?
Right.
But being in mediocrity is way more comfortable, right? So you talk about learning those new habits and creating new neural pathways and things like that. If you're going to try to rise out of mediocrity, that's what you have to do.
Right.
And it's not always comfortable, right? It's a lot of times uncomfortable. And that's where
Absolutely.
that whole saying, get comfortable being uncomfortable, comes from. Because if you really want to be the best version of yourself, if you really want to achieve all that you can achieve, get to your full potential, you need to be a little bit uncomfortable. And
Absolutely.
we talked about the morning routine, right, Steve?
Right.
So give me a breakdown. I'm totally putting you on the spot.
Oh boy.
Give me a quick breakdown of what you would consider a good day for you, an optimal morning routine for you, and give me then an example of days where you feel like you let yourself down. What did you do on those days that you felt like you let yourself down?
Right. Everything starts with a vision, right? We've always talked about that. The vision, purpose, whatever you want to call it, goals. But and again, everybody's different. You can, I know I'm into fitness and everything, and people talk about, hey, go to the gym very first thing in the morning. It could be 4 a.m, 5 a.m, get it out of the way and then start your day. And that's a great way to start for some people. Okay. Not for everybody. You got to find what works for you and works into your goals, your vision, your life, your family. So mine is I get up at a regular time, maybe like 7 o'clock in the morning, something like that. I have my routine. I have my eggs, coffee, and bake. I just have my meal. I will get my just go through my Facebook, emails, those kind of things. And then I start into my my business, work in my business. What do I need to do during that day? And I'll usually have that all lined up the night before. So I already know what I'm going to be working on the next day. That helps me at night go to sleep, kind of have an idea of what my day looks like. So my brain's not doing this. So anyway, so then I follow that through. So for me, what works is if I know I'm more productive from 9 o'clock to say 1 o'clock, that's my productive time. And then I'm, especially with tech, which I'm not techie, but I've learned it, but it wears me out. So that is my gym time after that. So from 1 to 3, 1 to 4, depending, I take 3 hours. It's not all gym time, but it could just be time for me, maybe go grocery shopping, whatever. And then I come back and then I'm working some more. Again, that's just my schedule that works for me. Now, the times that doesn't work is when I'm sitting here in the morning and all of a sudden I look down and I'm scrolling through Facebook, and all of a sudden I'm just watching this and I'm watching that and I'm going, oh, hey, that's a cool martial art fight. I'm going to watch that one real quick. It's only for a little, and all of a sudden, 45 minutes or an hour's gone by like that. And I'm sitting there going, crap. And that's where those old things can kind of start. Well, I can justify it if I want. I can sit there and say, well, I deserve some time off. I've been busy. Or no, I'm not being true to myself, true to my word, true to my vision, true to what I want, that I'm working towards. So there will be a cost to that, but I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to get back on track. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Refocus and then start in again. I think there's another thing that we have to give ourselves is grace, not beat ourselves up, but give ourselves grace. And why did I let myself, now there could be
Identify, they talk about that, identifying what made you do that in the first place. What
right,
was it that caused you to use that reasoning, right?
right,
Now, going back to that, there are times when we really do need to listen to our bodies, and sometimes we
right,
just need a break, okay?
right,
That I totally get. But I think when we're truly honest with ourselves, there's a lot of times that we use that as an excuse,
right,
but we're not truly that tired. But we know that we can use that, as an excuse to let ourselves off the hook, right?
Right.
So
But
like, go ahead.
no, I was gonna throw in there another thing too, Betsy, would be is a thing called patience. You know, when something doesn't happen quick enough, then we tend to, because I'm going back to the mediocrity and how that can come into a normal behavior of, well, I tried. Because we're not patient. It didn't happen quick enough. So therefore, okay, I gave it a shot. So now I'm going to slip back into my old. But then we're still not meeting what we know, like you said at the very beginning. We're not being the best version. We're not really meeting what we really are wanting, or what our purpose is, or what that passion is deep within inside us. You see, that's going to take work. That's going to take repetition, and it's going to take patience. And that's, I tell you, in my counseling, personally, whatever, the one thing that everybody hates is the P word. You got to be patient.
I am not the P word a lot of times.
Right. And I could sit there and say, this is like my business or my practice, or even going through the trial of my life with the divorce and everything, losing everything. It's like, when's this going to turn? No, because it's been how many years of building up. You know, I'm going to have to relearn some things. I'm going to have to do some things. There's some consequences of the choices that I've made back here.
Right. Now, you know, when you're talking about that, you know, just that patience and that persistence and the consistency that you need, right? When I was in Namibia, we went to this hotel, and when you're out on your balcony, you look out onto this vast desert. And it's the craziest thing. It looks like it goes on forever. Now, if I had no idea where I was, had I not looked at a map, right? And somebody would have dropped me there, and say there wasn't civilization, there wasn't a hotel, right? That I was just dropped there and I was walking. Number one, I'd have no idea what direction to go, right? Number two, I wouldn't know that if I chose a direction that eventually I would get to something, because it looked like it goes on forever. And what the crazy thing was that the ocean was on the other side of it that you couldn't see.
Wow.
And nobody would ever guess that, right?
Right.
That if you would have kept walking in that direction, if you would have kept walking west, you would have gotten to the ocean.
Right.
And so it's one of those things where it wasn't that far away, but you may have given up because it looked like it went on forever, of nothingness, just nothingness forever, right? So you never know what's around the corner. And I know that everybody can relate to this, where there's been something in our life that we've been working on, right? And it seems like it's never going to come. And then one day it's like somebody just snapped their fingers and boom, there it is, right? It all came together. It all makes sense. It all just, you know, happened finally. And that's what is oh gosh, now I'm going to go into the other sayings, right? But the sayings that I can never remember, but I love to reference, right? The one about something about it's like 3 steps away, you gave up, and it was like, you know, so many steps too early. But that's what it is that you never know, and you should never give up. And like you say, there's purpose to your trials, right? So let's say you never actually reach that goal. You go your whole life and you never, but you have gained something, right? Because along the way, you're constantly learning, you're constantly evolving. You know, and so this mediocrity thing, how does it serve us? And how does it serve others? Because when you settle for mediocrity, when you are not being the best version of yourself, you cannot give to others what you could possibly give them, not to mention yourself.
Right.
So it's hard to constantly be moving forward, right? I think that's really, you know, if I could think about one common theme that we kind of always talk about, or that is kind of, you know, underlying, it's that constant moving forward.
Right.
Not stopping, definitely not going back.
Right.
What's the only reason we ever look back?
Right. And, you know, and if I could expand on that, Betsy, it's like I tell my, you know, you have to find the purpose behind why I'm going to step out into this new season. Like you said, why should I keep walking? Trust me, there's the ocean right over there, and you're going, yeah, BS, you know, Because you're over here going, no, in all directions, I see nothing but sand. Why would I believe that there's, okay. If we could put purpose behind the thing that we're trying to accomplish. I ask my clients this question because I had to ask myself the question when I lost everything. Okay, why do I keep moving forward? You know, what was this all worth? Yeah, I mean, blah, 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 blah. But I had to ask myself the question, what is the one thing I'm going to pass on to my kids? Because at that point, that was the one thing I could focus on. My kids. What are they going to see their dad do? Fall, cry, bitch, moan, quit? Even though I had no idea where I was going, no idea that the ocean was on the other side, you know, what did I do? That's where I go into what I call the physical leg. I worked out because I was pissed, I was mad, I was scared, I was frustrated, I was whatever. And that's the one thing I could do just to keep going. Now, you say that. Well, what do we learn along the way? You see, well, there's one thing right there. I learned that any answer, folks, if you want to listen to one thing today, any answer could be answered if you just go take a walk, if you just go work out, if you just do something physical, the answers will come. And here's the cool part. It's win-win. It's win-win.
Yeah.
Right?
And here's the thing, you know, at the risk of sounding like we're, fitness junkies and we're trying to force our lifestyle on people, that's not it. You don't need to do, heavy weightlifting or,
No,
running 15 miles or anything like that.
no.
It's anything. Go outside and garden. Go
Right.
out for, whatever kind of walk that you want to go on, fast, slow, uphills, down, it's really all about getting the blood circulating, being able to be in your own space with yourself, right?
Right.
And that's really what it is.
Well, and what you're doing is you're giving yourself permission to take care of yourself, because like you were saying earlier, if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care of others?
Right.
And again, going on with that, I could ask anybody the question if they get to that point of mediocrity, settling, whatever you want to call it, and I could sit there and say, all right, one question, who in your life, is close to you in your life, whatever. They always say, well, I have my kids, or I have my spouse, or I have my niece or nephew, whatever. There's always somebody in somebody's life that they care for. And I'll just ask them, is that tool that you're using right now, is it positive or negative? Is that tool something you want to pass on to your kids? So you put it back on the person, because I could sit here and say, I'm feeling kind of down. I just want to Netflix all day and eat pizza all day. And I can do it. But the question is, how does that move me towards my goals? Or, hey, kids, don't do what I'm about ready to do because I want better for you. But right now oh crap, I need to model that.
Right.
So if it's putting that purpose on it, because we're saying, I don't want to pass that negative tool on to my kids. And maybe that was a tool that was passed on to you from your family. Okay. And you're looking at that going, wow, I'm not healthy, or I'm not treating my kids or my spouse like I need to. Where did I get that tool?
Yep. And so also, when you talk about modeling behavior for your kids, I find this very interesting, is that you have to somewhat be careful to not, and this goes for a lot of people that you see out on the internet, right? That think like, oh my God, that person's perfect. I could never live up to that. They have such a great routine, and they eat so clean, and they, work so hard, and they do all this stuff, right? And it seems so unattainable. So it's so important to let people know that you're human too. Yes, you strive to be the best version of yourself and you work hard at it every day, but you're not going to be perfect, because if your kids don't also see some of your flaws, that pressure that's put on them can be so heavy that it actually keeps them from actually modeling your behavior, because it seems so daunting to even take on that modeled behavior, right? So yeah, you can't always just put your best face forward and suck it up and act like everything's okay, and that you're perfect and things like that, because you're not perfect, and your kids should know that you're not perfect, and they should know that it's okay for them to not always be perfect, because it's really all about balance, right?
But it also goes back to what you said at the very beginning. Society can affect the mediocrity. It can force that. So that's
Mhm.
basically what you're saying. And everybody does it. Everybody wears a mask. Everybody. At one time or another wears a mask.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, I'm not sitting there saying we have to sit here and go up to the bank teller and go, yeah, F you, whatever. No, I'm not going to say that to them if I'm in a bad mood. I'm going to sit there and go, thank you very much. Yeah, okay, I'll see you later. You know, I'm being nice because I'm having a bad day, whatever. Okay, but I'm not gonna sit here and take it out on somebody. That's when I'd sit there and go, you know what? I can't wait to go home because I'm gonna go hit the bag, or I'm gonna go hit the weights, or I'm gonna go for a walk, or I'm gonna go do something because my kids or my spouse, if I was married, whatever, they don't deserve this version of me right now.
Yeah.
So it goes back to the mediocrity is that settling.
Yep.
And then you can go, I don't care where you're at, you can go anywhere and ask anybody, and eventually you'll find somebody who's going to justify your place right there.
Mhm.
Anywhere.
Well, because here's the thing. If so, say you've got a good friend, right? And you start to elevate your life, and they're not starting to elevate their life. That's uncomfortable for them.
Right.
And so they're going to try to bring you back down to their mediocrity.
Right. Right.
Right. And so
Right.
that's what you
Absolutely.
need to be careful of. You need to surround yourself with people that are on the same or similar journey, right? It doesn't have to
Right.
be, I shouldn't say similar journey. I should say similar, what do I say, vibe or elevation in their life at that time, right?
Right.
You know, or be very aware of what you're getting, right? So
That's it.
so just be very aware of, so this friend over here is going to maybe try to keep me down because they're not at the same level in their life that I am at right now, where I want to elevate my life, right?
And that doesn't mean
But
that doesn't mean you have to cut everybody out
no,
who doesn't line up with you. That's what
right.
you're saying, right? Yes.
Correct. So the way that I look at it is keep all those friends, right? I mean, as long as they're not like bringing you down, right? You know, um, keep all those friends and then find accountability buddies, right? In fact, I was thinking about doing that, and kind of maybe inviting people that watch this webinar to maybe do a little group, a little Facebook Messenger group or something like that, where we just have that accountability. You can check in. The goal would be to check in every day, right? Just something really quick. Hey guys, this is what I'm going to work on today, or hey guys, this is what I did yesterday. I was so proud of myself, or you know what, I screwed up yesterday. Or hey, does anybody have an idea of how I can change up my morning routine to make it better? I'm looking for something, whatever it is, right? And
Mhm.
have that accountability group to help you through it. And if you want to check in once a week or you want to check in every day, great, but that's what we really need. Um, you know, uh, I was reading the Miracle Morning, and he talks about how when we're children, our adults in our lives are who we're accountable to, right? Because the adults tell you when to go to bed, when to eat, brush your teeth, study in school and all that stuff, right? And so they're giving you that accountability. Well, then when we become adults, we have to be accountable, obviously, to ourselves, but we need help. I don't care who you are, there's
Absolutely.
always something. Now, even the act of going to the gym, even if you go by yourself, is accountable, because the second you
Right.
step in that door,
Right.
you're going to hold yourself to a higher level of workout than you would if you stayed home, right?
And you're also surrounding yourself, like you said earlier, with like-minded people. Everybody in the gym, regardless of what size, what shape, whatever, they're all there for the same reason.
Right.
To feel better about themselves, to work out, or to whatever. So you're instantly putting yourself in that environment where you're going to be more successful than, say, you're totally spot on with that, because people who have home gyms and everything, or I'm gonna work out at home, I'm going, okay, I've done it myself. When I have my home gym and everything, it's so easy to talk myself out of, but having that one place to go will
Mm-hmm.
put you in that mindset. Now ask yourself the question. Again, I know everybody can't afford gym, or I couldn't have done it either when I was at that stage with my kids. There's no way I could spend 2 hours out of the day being a stay-at-home dad, or single dad with kids. And I mean, there's just no way. But if there is any way that you can incorporate that in, or like you're saying with accountability, It doesn't have to be in the gym. It can be going for a walk with somebody. It can be taking, meeting up with other parents, with other kids, and going to the park, and you're all playing soccer and frisbee together or something like that. And, you know, I mean, there's multiple ways that you can get that physical, but also that social, but also that camaraderie that you're looking for to help move you towards that better version of yourself.
Right. And I think, you know, that the quarantine period for COVID, I think taught us a lot about us having to find other ways of having accountability. So for example, couldn't go to the gym then, right? So I started with doing Zoom workouts with my friend from the gym, right?
Hmm.
Well, then that kind of fell off. And so how I became accountable to myself was I wrote down workouts and I did it to Tabata music. And if you're not familiar with that, it is timed music. So basically, it has 8 rounds, you know, 20 seconds on or 30 seconds on, whatever you choose, and then 10 seconds off, 15 seconds off, right? So you know when you press play on that, that you're going to do that routine to that music for that many rounds, right? So if I write out ahead of time that I'm going to do 5 of those, right? So 8 rounds in each set. So 5 sets, 8 rounds in each one. I have now made myself accountable, right? Instead of I said, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go get on the treadmill in the basement. Well, guess what? If you didn't set a goal, if you just said, I'm getting on the treadmill, what are you most likely going to do when it starts to get hard and you start to huff and puff a
Right.
little bit? You're like, oh, you know what? I really could go do some laundry. That laundry really needs to get
Right.
done. I mean, it's so easy to get off track if you did not set a goal, which I call accountability, right?
Right.
So there's no excuse. There's always a way to be accountable. For me, I need to change things up.
Right.
I know that a lot of people love routine, love to do the same thing over and over again. I am one of those people that bores me and that will make me go off, my workout. So if it's, if that's what you need, if you need variety and, things that are, then you do that, but I was thinking before when you were talking again about that identification in your life, right? Really taking time to be quiet or to be observant and find out what in your life, what what motivates you, right? What gets you going when you're feeling down? What,
Mhm.
those things, and start writing them down and making lists. Sometimes you know what they are, but until you really sit down and take the time to say, listen, here are some things that I've done. Like, have you ever had a crappy day where you just can't get motivated and you go take a shower and all of a sudden you feel like a new person,
Right.
right? So write that down if that works for you. I
Right.
go outside and take a walk, right? Get some fresh
Right.
air, get the blood circulating. That gets me going again, right? Um, I listen to a motivational, audiobook. That gets me going again, right?
Right.
I call a friend. Sometimes, especially if you're working at home and you don't have social interaction, you're one of those people that needs social interaction, then, call somebody and, just say, hey, can you chat for a few minutes? And if that gets you energized again. So knowing what energizes you, some people, quiet energizes them, right? Just quiet
Exactly.
meditation.
Exactly.
So figure out what that is, identify it, write it down, and have it there as a checklist for when you're sitting there saying to yourself, oh, I just can't get going today, or I feel crappy about myself, or whatever it is, and employ one of those things on your list.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw one at you, put you on the spot.
Okay.
Yay! Okay. So say this all sounds great and everything. We're talking about the best version of ourselves, but what if you're in a marriage? What if you're in a relationship with a partner who does not want the same thing? How do you handle that?
That,
Because we're talking about the people who can bring us back down. And I see that so often. But I'm gonna let you answer that because I just want to get your feedback on that because that's very, very, very common.
right. It's very common. And a lot of times you see it, I hate to say it, but it's almost a control thing, right? There's two things I think a lot of times that happen, like, and let's just use the example of exercise. Okay. I could use dieting, I could use forwarding my career, anything like that, right? But let's just use exercising since we've been talking about that. So if I decide I'm going to start a new exercise routine and my partner doesn't want to, right? he's not going to encourage me, right? Necessarily, because he might be feeling guilty that I'm doing it and he's not.
Right.
And he feels like if I'm doing it and I'm doing it really well, he should somehow elevate his workout routine or even start working out, right? And maybe he's not prepared to do that. Is sick as it sounds, sometimes it's a jealousy thing. Well, if they are an insecurity and jealousy thing,
There you go.
if they start feeling better about themselves and more confident and they look better, I might lose them.
Right.
And they might not even consciously know that they're thinking that way.
Right.
And so that's a really hard thing to do. So to answer your question, gosh, I don't know, that is such a hard thing. I think what you do is kind of like what we were talking about on that one podcast where we talked about, if you're going to start a new journey in life, like say you're going to start a new career, only tell the people that are going to support you, right?
Mhm.
Don't tell the people that you know aren't going to support you. So don't make a big deal out of it. If you know your partner's not going to support you, what is the purpose of telling them, oh, well, I ran 5 miles today, or I went to the, you're not, if you know you're not going to get a hooray, you did a great job, honey, or gosh, you know, what are you going to do tomorrow? Or maybe I can go with you tomorrow. If you're not going to get that, then find it somewhere else. I'm not saying
Right.
go find another partner
No,
or
but
cheat on your partner. I'm saying find an
I
accountability.
love where you're going with this, Betsy, because still it comes back to the point of mediocrity. Because if we do not address that, we can talk about ourselves and everything, but let's talk about the people who are closest. Remember that old saying? I think I can finish this one, Betsy.
I'm going to be so proud of you.
You know, the 10 closest people in your life will stop you from reaching 10,000. Okay.
I love
So
that.
I just went right to the core, and the most important person, and if we're talking to, again, anybody who is in relationships, that person could be the most important person, but what if they don't line up? Okay. Still, everything we've talked about up to this point still is in place, because my question to anybody, well, my husband or my wife doesn't, they won't support me. I'm going, so?
Do they
So look
need
at,
to?
yeah, it's my point. That's my
And
point.
if you
Who
want them
cares?
to if you want them to support you and they don't, what happens? That's a big R word.
Right.
Resentment.
So exactly. So again, I'm putting it back on the individual to say, let's go back to the original goal of what you're trying to be, the best version of yourself. Because if you're looking to do this, because well, maybe if I'm looking this way, she'll want me more. I'm going, whoa, 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 Steve, that's not good. You're doing it for the wrong reasons. Yeah, I
I
know.
just had to flex my muscles if you're flexing yours. I'm just
Okay,
saying.
let's
I'm
do it.
sorry.
Okay. On the count of three, let's pose. One,
Okay.
2, 3.
Oh, wait. I don't know how to pose. Wait,
We'll
this?
just do whatever. You can do it.
Oh.
It's your favorite pose. Okay, see, now you got me off. No. The point is, you're still making it about them, and you're still making it about how they're going to do something for you. That's still a selfish motive. Okay. So my counsel to anybody in that situation is like, you know what? Let's just do this for you to become the best version of yourself. And then let's see how they're going to respond. That might be insecure. I mean, what I get that all the time, where the other pals, well, they're just going to find somebody else. Okay, there's some insecurity there. Now we're having some issues, but now guess what? I guarantee those insecurities or those issues have been there a long time before this person wants to be the best version of themselves. So what's going to do is going to bring out the more work that we talked about. Because if you want your relationship to go the levels that you're wanting it to go, it's it. And I'm just going to be bold here. It's either with or without them. That's really what it comes down to. I'm not saying divorce. I'm not saying anything like that. But I'm just sitting here going, are you going to allow yourself to be pulled down by this partner and not be the best version? That can lead to mediocrity as well, and settling. Yep. You see, you're still better than where you're at, but what about going up here? What about being up here? Well, I can't because he or she's still bringing me down here.
Yep.
See.
And how many times have you settled or said yes to something that you didn't really want because there was there was something that you wanted, right? And you knew that that only way you were getting there was that path with that person, right? And so you said yes to things along the way that you didn't want to say yes to because you were, does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
And yeah, and it's so crazy because I think we all do it. We all, now there is, obviously, kind of working with somebody and, yeah, you make concessions because there's give and take in every relationship and all that stuff, right? But when it gets to that point where it's really one-sided, that's what you have to be careful of,
Right.
right? Because now everything is in the best interest of the other person and not ever in your best interest.
Right.
So, and that's where you always talk about like finding that middle, like, meeting in the middle and finding that place
Right.
where you're gonna go forward in that path together.
Right.
And that's, I mean, when you put it like that, it sounds so easy. Oh, well, we're gonna find that middle space and go on that path together, right? That's probably one of the hardest things that you do in a relationship.
Right. Because most of the time, again, me included, and Mike looking back and going, oh, it's called wisdom. I don't look back as if they go shame, shame, bitch, moan, whatever. I look back and go, I got wisdom now. Yeah, I lost everything and it sucked and all this kind of stuff, but there were some good times and there's some bad times, but I've learned from those things. So if I would sit here and say to anybody, it's like, I do this all the time in my counseling as well, where I have the couple in here, I'm saying, okay, now your homework is to go and you write out what your definition of what a healthy marriage looks like and your definition of a healthy marriage, what it looks like, and then come back. I think I've talked about this earlier.
Mhm.
But when they come into the session, I mean, don't talk about it outside this session. So the very first time, then they're talking about, then we see where they connect or disconnect is at. And then we can kind of start talking about, hey, you guys are connecting on these things, but what about this? And I remember one time this guy said, well, Steve, I'd really like to race again, but I know that'll never happen. I mean, we're talking like car racing or whatever. And I'm going, well, tell me about that, man. And he started telling me, he started getting all excited. And he goes, but it'll just never happen. I looked at her, I'm going, so what do you think about she? And she's going, I think it's great. Because when we were dating, I loved going to the races. I loved watching he get all excited. Also, he looks at her and goes, are you serious? And she's going, yeah. But see, some of those resentments, I mean, they didn't talk about because he just assumed that that's not something he could ever do again.
It's funny, getting to know somebody well is almost a curse sometimes, because when you've been with somebody long enough and you start to know how they think, you think you know what they're
Right.
thinking all the time,
Right.
right? And you don't. And so you just automatically assume, well, she's not going to want me to go back to racing because she wants me home or she wants me there on the weekends to do what.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and
Right.
so it's kind of a blessing and a curse, right? You've spent so much time with this person that you know them so well, but then all of a sudden you think you know them so well that you start putting thoughts into their head, right?
Right.
Without asking them. And just
Right.
assuming that you know.
You complete the sentence before they're even, I already know what she's thinking. You complete the narrative,
Right.
and that becomes your truth, and which can make us pull apart. So another question I ask my folks is this, it's like, well, what business doesn't go and look at their business, after like a 2-year re-audit or something like that, to sit there and say, where are we making it? Where are we not making it? Because we want the most profits, right? Every business
Right.
wants to make profits. So sometimes they got to come back and restructure some things, correct?
Yeah.
So what's the difference in relationships? If you've been together for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Why can't you guys come together every now and then and say, hey, are we still moving in the same direction? Hey, do you still want the same things? And well, I'd really like to go to Greece, or I'd really like to go here and work out, or I'd like to whatever, why can't we sit here and talk about these things?
Yep.
So going back to the individual, okay, being the best version of yourselves we also have to give grace to our partner. And that's kind of where I want to go here. Because right now it's not about you need to change because I'm changing you. No. Give them grace and you become that best version. I guarantee you start getting up here and that person will want to come along because they're sitting going, wow, you're amazing, or wow, you're not so hard on me anymore. Wow, we actually connect more than I thought we did. Or they may just start over realizing that, holy moly, we went through the season of raising kids and we just kind of got in our mediocrity. We settled into this routine because, kids, baseball, this, that, whatever, whatever, and they lose that spark. All of a sudden they start dating again. They're starting to go, man, I feel like a teenager again, and it can be fun,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. But I think, one of the important things too, when you're doing that, say that you're the person elevating your life and you're starting to get up here, is to not look down on the person that's not following you at that time.
Right.
I think so many times that happens too, where it's thrown in the face of the other person.
Absolutely.
And that makes them really not want to follow you, right? Because they're like, you know what, then I'm going in the opposite direction. You know,
Right. Right.
you're sitting there, eating salmon and steamed green beans. Well, I'm going to have a burger and fries. Screw that, because you're sitting there, telling them how healthy you are and how you
Right.
ate so good today and all of
Right.
the nutrients that are in this and the omegas. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That gets annoying when people do that. I get it. They're excited about their journey. They're excited about, how they've committed to it and how they've stuck to it and all this stuff. But you got to know your audience and you've got, do that with your girlfriend who's on that same journey. And
Right.
you guys go out and, get healthy lunch together and you want to talk about, you want to go to the health food store and, get all the supplements, right? Whatever. That's where you do that. But you've got to wait until the other
That's
person
it.
is ready to come along with you. And here's the thing, but you have to be ready to accept that they may never come with you.
Right.
And, I'm sure you've seen this where that has caused breakups in marriages and relationships
Absolutely.
because if somebody changes, and, this is a great example, the person that, these people that got together and they, always went out to the bars and partied and had burgers and fries and, they're doing shots and, whatever else, right? And then that one person maybe has a health scare and says, you know what, I'm cleaning up my life. I can't spend this much time at the bar. I don't need to drink this much alcohol. I don't need to eat fried foods all the time, you know. And all of a sudden, that whole lifestyle is turned upside down, right? Because what they knew, how they knew each other, how they enjoyed each other's company is now going to totally change for one person. And if that other person's not willing to do that, where does that leave them?
Right.
Right? And that's difficult. I mean, what would you say in that instance where, you have the one person trying to change their life for the better and become healthier and the other person wants to stay back and smoke and drink and,
Right. Well, and that's the whole thing. The person has a scare, so their whole vision has changed. Either you change this or you're going to die. Now, this person over here didn't have the heart attack. This person didn't do it, but this guy did. So at that point, I'm saying, who are you going to listen to? Yeah, but my buddies aren't going to want to hang out with me anymore because I don't want to drink and smoke and do all that stuff. And I'm going, well, you either want that or you want to die, So it really comes back to that vision of what does a healthy you look like. And here I go again. Well, do you have kids? Well, yeah, I said, so I can guarantee you one thing right here. When your kids become 15, 16, 17-year-old, you're going to tell them you can't go out and drink, you can't vape, you can't smoke, you can't do any of those things. Right? Well, yeah. But what are you doing right now? What are you doing right now? You're giving those tools, you're giving the permission to your kids to go do that. But I can already guarantee you're not going to sit there and go, okay, just, drive safe. I know you're going to be drunk, but drive safe to your 15-year-old. Well, no, I wouldn't do that. Are you getting what I'm saying here? Put some purpose behind it. It's not about your friends, or it's time to freaking grow up. Is what I
right.
would say to the guy. Grow up. You're killing yourself. Who do you want? Hey, do you want to walk your daughter down the aisle when she's, because she's 15 right now, she's going to be married at 25, you're going to be dead in 5. Time to grow up.
Right. And take
You see.
accountability, take responsibility.
Exactly. Your body's telling you if you don't stop taking care, whatever. You see, but again, why is it, Betsy, that we all have to get to the point of death, divorce, serious issues before we finally sit here and say I want, or bankruptcy or whatever, before I'm going to get my finances in, or I'm going to get my marriage in order, I'm going to get whatever in order? Why does it always have to come down to when the wheels are falling off? That's when we're going to go get help.
So, and that brings me back to your preemptive audit, right? Do the
Yeah,
preemptive audit. Do the audit once a year, even when things seem like they're going okay.
absolutely.
Twice a year, 3 times, whatever you need in your relationship or in your life, you can do an
Yeah,
audit with yourself. You don't even need to do
absolutely.
it in a relationship. And
Absolutely.
just look at yourself and say, where am I at? Am I settling for mediocrity right now? Or am I working toward elevating myself?
Right.
Have I given up or gotten comfortable? Or am I pushing myself? Am I really, really working to my full potential?
Right.
And if it during that audit you're really honest with yourself and you say, I really am not. There's more I could do. I don't know about you, but I always think there's more I could do.
Absolutely.
I mean, there have been certain days where I'm like, hey, I really rocked that day, man. That was, fantastic. But in general in my life, I'm not sitting back on my laurels going, oh yeah, I'm good now. I mean, I've done it all.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm constantly, I real quick before we have to go, but as you know, I'm not a very religious person, but I've always told my kids that create a higher vision, even if it's a higher version, better version of yourself. And that's what you aspire to be. So for
Hmm.
some people, that's God, whatever it is in your life, and they've created this higher being, right? Well, that
Hmm.
higher being can be whatever you make it, right? So it can just be that best version of yourself, can be that higher being. And that's what you pray to, right? That's what you look up to. That's what you try to be, right? I mean, isn't that the whole purpose of a lot of religions, is to try to be like God, to be godlike, as they say,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So why can't my God just be the best version of myself? And every day I look at that and say, okay, what am I doing to try to get there, right? And that's what we need to do. But we are out of time.
Yeah,
We did.
that's another topic. We need to get into that as well, about finding that balance, about how do we make those deposits, and all, like I talk about my programs, the 4 legs of the chair: mental, physical, spiritual, social. You put those daily deposits in there on a daily basis, and guess what? This starts becoming your lifestyle. This starts becoming your normal, you see. And those are the things that I want to pass on to my kids.
Right.
See, that's what I want to pass on to my clients I work with. That's why I built this program, these programs and stuff. I want to reach more people, you see, because that's my higher power. I'm a Christian. I'm sitting there, okay, God, let's go do this. But that's why I do it, because I want to help people. But I've got to be able to take care of me first, because if I'm over here a total wreck, I'm going to lead people away, you
Right.
see. So again, we're talking the same thing. So how do we continue to make those daily deposits in those areas so we can become the best versions of ourselves, so we do not fall into mediocrity or settle?
Right.
Right on.
Right.
This has been
Absolutely.
fun. This has been
I,
fun, Betsy.
I know this is good. So,
I
okay.
hope everybody else enjoyed it, and please leave your comments in the below about if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, if you have anything. Like Betsy said, let's be a community. Let's support one another. So fire away.
Yeah. So I just want to real quick in the chats, we have our email addresses so that you guys can contact us if you have any questions for either myself or Steve. We have our websites on there. My website is brand new and still undergoing construction, but the main gist is there. It's workable now. And Steve's website, I highly encourage you to go to staystrongstayfocused.com. And he's talked about him a little bit, and I know he's going to kill me for even putting this out there, but he has a great program for depression. And so if you yourself or somebody who suffers from depression, depressive states, please look at his website. And I'm not trying to sell anything. In fact, like I said, he's like going to kill me right now because he's just like, don't do it. But anyway, great program. So go to that, staystrongstayfocused.com. If you guys are not on our Facebook group, it's called No BS with BS. You can search that under Facebook groups. Also, the link is right there in the comments. When I post this into YouTube, I will have all that posted down there. So I hope you guys stay connected with us and join our community. and just really make this a great, big, strong community. Love it.
Amen. Awesome.
All right. All right. Well, we'll see. Oh, and Steve and I will be at Insight starting tomorrow. So we or not tomorrow, Thursday. Well, I'll see you Thursday.
Yeah.
But it's a great self-development seminar workshop. And we're going to tell you all about it. And we might even broadcast something briefly from there if we find the time.
I think we need to.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a fantastic. So, if when we start talking about that, you guys have questions, we're more than willing to send you in that direction if that's something you're looking for. Obviously, we have both done the Insight workshop, and now he works for it. I'm volunteering, so highly recommend it. It's fantastic. So if that's something that you want to talk about, just get in contact with us. But other than that, yeah, great podcast today. Great chatting with you, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right, we'll see y'all.
All right, see ya.